Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's EG the Kid, aka Egal himself, and we're back on EGTV. And today we're going to be talking about everything that has to do with the transfer window, everything that had to do with the transfer window that just passed. And you know what? Just to let you guys know, the window is not officially closed for Premier League teams. We can still buy teams, we can still buy players within the EPL, and we can still sell players to teams within the EPL and even loan players out. So the window is not actually shut. We still have another week of the silly season. So stay locked. We still got a week left of all this madness with the transfers. But yeah, first let's get back onto the main thing. Yesterday, we officially signed, you know who we signed, Thomas Partey, the man himself. And we got Thomas Partey through the line by paying his release clause to La Liga, and Atletico Madrid were flabbergasted. They were shocked that we went behind their back and we got everything done and we didn't even have to speak to them, because you know how it works in Spain. You go straight to the league and you pay that release clause to the league. They notify the club, and then the player terminates his contract, immediately comes over, signs the thing with us, and you know what? Now we got our man. But you know what? This has been a very interesting window. I want to know what you guys think, how you guys rate the window, and we'll go through it bit by bit. But Mikel Arteta is definitely probably happy with what he has through the door. And he did say that after the Sheffield United game that he felt like the board were backing him. He obviously knew something we didn't know. So when you say I have the full backing of the board, as fans, we started to question Arteta. Is he a yes man? What is he saying? Does he know something more than we don't know? But you know what? He knew something that we didn't know. But when he said in the press conference that he's not going to be surprised if we get our signings through the door and that he is being backed by the board, we now finally can start to believe a little bit of that, right? Now, in other news, we will be discussing everything that has been this window and how many players we actually got to sign their contracts. We got Gabriel Martinelli to sign his contract, Saka signed his contract, Aubameyang signed a new contract. We got Gabriel through the door. You guys know the man from Lille himself. He didn't come in with a big price tag, only 23.4 million pounds, but that's still a good signing for the club. We also had some other work that we did. We got Danny Ceballos back on loan. We got Runnerson in. We got Willian on a free from Chelsea, and the big man himself, Thomas Partey, in the midfield. You know what? We're gonna go through all sorts of stuff right now, but first, I'm starting to see some positive things going on in our spine, because don't forget, we still got Leno as our starting goalkeeper, right? We have Gabriel as our main center back. Then you got Partey in the middle, and then you got the main man Aubameyang up top. To me, that is a wonderful spine down the middle. All four of them. That's a solid base to build a squad off of. And you know what? You're starting to see some positive things coming out of the club. And a lot of you people who are negative, you need to shut your mouths, because we're finally starting to see that this manager has something about him, and he's starting to get the players that he needs. He's starting to get what he wants, and this is the perfect sign for the stepping stones that Arteta can do with his team. And you know what? We have the building blocks now with Leno, Gabriel, Aubameyang, Thomas Partey. We finally have ourselves a spine, a team, a organization, everything. What else can I say, ladies and gentlemen? But let's get into Thomas Partey, right? I seen this on the internet today, and I just wanted to go through Thomas Partey's stats in comparison to our other players in the midfield that we had last year. So you see that Thomas Partey had more goals than all our midfielders in the league, right? He had 3. The rest of them all had 3 combined, right? And that's Elneny playing over in Besiktas. Then you got tackles. You can see that Danny Ceballos was the highest tackler out of all our midfielders, and Partey almost 1.5 more than him, right? So it's like 50 to 75. And then it just goes to show you, Xhaka plays the most games, but he still is not the best tackler. Willock is not the best tackler. And it just goes to show you. Now, moving on to interceptions. Interceptions, the guy who gets the most interceptions is Xhaka, obviously, because he's played the most games. It makes sense that he has the most interceptions. But Partey almost doubles his interceptions. It just goes to show you that all around, this man is an absolute stud. In addition to that, you got recoveries. He can recover. He can come back and protect the back four. He's not only a guy who can disrupt people in the middle, but he has the all-around game. He has the defensive attributes with the attacking attributes that we've seen with his 3 goals. And you know what? He also can dribble. He is sorry about that. He can also win aerial duels. He's a very physical and imposing beast. When I say Thomas Partey is probably one of the most all-around midfielders that we could have signed, he is definitely one of those guys, because all our midfielders have attributes to their game, but I feel like they're always missing something. Like Granit Xhaka has the passing ability, but he's missing. You can say he's missing the mobility and the stamina to move around the pitch. Willock has the mobility and stamina to move around the pitch, but he doesn't have the technical ability to make those correct passes and keep things simple. Elneny is not a progressive thinker, but he has the interceptions and the tackling ability that he can do. He can do the industrial work, but he's not really the best going forward. Danny Ceballos can pick out a pass, can make things happen, but he still lacks the defensive attributes that you need in an all-around CM, right? Then finally, the dribbling. Thomas Partey is actually one of the best dribblers in world football. Don't underestimate the fact that he's such an attacking player that you might think, oh, he can't dribble, he can't do this, he can't do that. But Thomas Partey is one of the best dribblers in world football. Him, Thiago Alcantara, and Kovacic are up there as the top 3 dribblers from the midfield in the world. And you know what? That's just goes to show you how good of a player he is and how good of a signing we have made. And let's just take a look at this window, right? So we're going to take a look at this window, and we're going to look deep into the window and see how you guys think how we fared. I have here the ins and outs. And as you can see, we got Martinez went out for, it says here on Transfermarkt, 15.66 million, but it's with add-ons, it's closer to 20 million. Mavropanos went out to Stuttgart on loan, and they're only giving us what, 200, not even a quarter of a million. Henrik Mkhitaryan terminated his contract and left on a free, where we saved upwards of 11 million pounds, I think. Then you got Matteo Guendouzi, who left on loan to Hertha Berlin. There is no loan fee, and this was no obligation to buy, no loan. They have no right to buy him. They just have him on loan for a year. This is basically going to be a work experience for Matteo Guendouzi. Then you got Torreira. This is an interesting one. Torreira went to Atletico Madrid last minute, and it looked like he wanted to go there so badly, and Atletico Madrid got done. The way they dealt with us with Torreira is the way we dealt with them with Partey. And at last minute, we even tried to hold them hostage by saying we're not going to give you the guy unless you give us the money. But at the end, it ended up turning out to be a loan deal, and with the option to buy. But I don't know if they're going to buy him or not. We'll have to wait and see. But if they do buy him, I would be expecting upwards of 20 to 23 million, right? Now, let's go to other imports, right? So we had some guys come in this window, and you could say overall, we'll talk about the rating for the window, but we had some guys come back from loan, like Emil Smith-Rowe came back from loan. We had Willian come from Chelsea on a free. We had Cedric. We signed him in the January window, and we signed him to a permanent deal, so he signed. We got Pablo Mari that we signed on a permanent deal for 7.2 million. We got Runnerson we brought in for a replacement, so we have a second goalkeeper. Then you also got Gabriel, right? We brought in for 23.4 million. And you got Thomas Partey, who we triggered the release clause at the end of the window. On Transfermarkt, I don't know if these figures are 100% correct, but it says before add-ons, it says it's 77.4 million that went out, and it says 15.89 that went in. And no matter how you say, if you're cronky in, cronky out, like I am, you can still say that they did spend some money this window. It's not the best window because we still weren't unable to shift out the likes of Mustafi, Socrates, and the rest of those guys that we would consider dead wood. But one thing we did do is we brought in quality first choice signings. You cannot tell me these guys were not our first choice signings. And you know what? I have a little thing that I was thinking. I was thinking about it yesterday. Do you honestly believe that after the whole situation with after the whole situation with Husamarwa, do you guys think that we were not interested in getting both Partey and Husamarwa? Because I think we're still in for another midfielder, and that there might be rumors in the next couple of days that we might be interested in the Norwich midfielder, Buendia. Buendia last year, Emi Buendia, I forget how to pronounce his name. His name is tough. He is being linked to Arsenal, and they're saying that we could be in for him as an option to as almost as a Arwa replacement, because we currently can only buy from other Premier League teams. And Buendia last year, he was very creative. He was able to create a lot of chances in the Premier League. He was third after Kevin De Bruyne and Trent Alexander-Arnold, ahead of Grealish by 1 and ahead of Maddison by 2. I know he was in a relegation side, but he does have that creativity that some of our midfielders lack. And you know what? It might be an upgrade to bring him into our midfield. I'm not exactly sure how much he would cost or how much we'd be where Norwich would be asking for. They might be asking for upwards of 20 million, maybe even closer to the 30 million mark. But what I would say is, with Buendia, late in the window, it could be a move that Arsenal make. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to do that. I think we're going to most likely hold on to our money and try to go for a first choice target in the January window for a midfielder if we still need one. But that is one of those things that we've been linked to. Now, today, William Saliba has been linked to a move away from the Emirates to a championship club. They're saying that William Saliba could possibly be going out on loan within the Premier League. I mean, within the English ranks of football. He could be headed to possibly, dare I say it, the championship. And I'm not exactly sure which club is going to be signing him, but it looks like we might be sending him out on loan again. I think he just needs more game time. Don't forget, he hasn't had too many years of first-team football. He has, maybe 30 games of first-team football, where Gabriel has over 90 at this point. So there's a big level of discrepancy. When you have 2 more years of being a full-time player in football, a first-team player under your belt, maybe then you'll have enough experience to come into the Arsenal team and make a difference right away. It is ludicrous for us to believe that William Saliba is going to come in immediately and be next coming of Maldini. Guys need to calm down with the expectations. He's a player that we bought on potential. He's not a player that we bought that is ready-made to jump into this team and fix our defensive issues. So people who are criticizing the fact that the club might be looking to loan him out again, we have to understand that they see him week in, week out. We don't. So from what I've seen of him in the game versus Brighton, when he played for the under-23s, he's a good player on the ball. His passing ability is really good. Defensively, he might not be switched on all the time, but his pace and his ability and his power gets him out of situations. And when he's playing against a grown man in the Premier League, he's going to need to have his brain switched on at all times, and he cannot just depend on his athleticism to get him out of situations. And that is one of those things he can learn maybe in the championship or maybe in another Premier League team, and we could possibly loan him out. With a week left of the English football calendar window, you can still loan out William Saliba, and I think it might be a good thing if we look to loan him out for a short-term deal. Now, Arsenal did sign another player. We did sign former Ajax winger Joel Idio. Yeah, I forget how to pronounce his name, but we signed this kid, and it looks like we're getting a lot of young academy players into the door, and this is another positive sign in the right direction. And I'm happy that we're getting all these young kids into the door. We did get Salah already, and we got the other guy, George Lewis, from, where was he from again? Was he Norway or something like that? One of those Baltic countries. I forget exactly which one, but we've been doing a lot of business when it comes to improving our academy structure, and that is a really good thing. And don't underestimate these young academy players. Today they might be unknowns. Tomorrow they could turn into Bukayo Sakas. We don't know. But one thing we do know is the club and the board are working hard to restructure the under-23s, the under-18s, and restructure the youth academy ranges. And Arteta is going to have a good job ahead of him with all the things that are happening around the club. There's a lot of positives to balance out all the negatives. Now, there was one thing that kind of got a lot of people frustrated. We did get offered an opportunity to loan out Socrates on a season-long loan to PSG, but Arsenal refused because Arsenal are looking to get rid of Socrates with some money in return. And PSG offering us a loan for him, we turned it down immediately. And you know what? To me, it kind of doesn't make sense why we do that. I don't understand why the club would not just let him go out on loan. We don't really need him. And I don't know. What do you guys think, honestly? Because I'm just kind of confused why we would do that. But yeah, I think the Husamarwa situation, going back to that, now I think that since we've gotten Thomas Partey, I don't think we're going to get Husamarwa anymore. Unfortunately, I think Husamarwa deal is dead. And I think most likely now he will be joining either Real Madrid or PSG. His head has been turned by one of those teams, and he ended up staying in Lyon. Even though Lyon need to sell players, they were unable to sell any of their big boys. I don't even think Memphis Depay was sold. So that's just where I stand with that. It's kind of confusing. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to believe anymore because a lot of these rumors just keep flying around. Everything keeps going around. But one thing we do know is Edu has done his job, and he got our man. He got us Thomas Partey. We can be happy, but one thing we have to realize is there's still a challenge that we're going to have to try to get top 4. We're still not good enough to be guaranteed locks for top 4, in my opinion. We need to still work hard. The club is going to still need to work hard and continue to push and work hard with the defensive and the pragmatic approach that Arteta has had. It has worked to perfection. And you know what? It is not a bad thing to be pragmatic if we're scoring goals and if we're winning games. You know what I mean? Like just like we won against the past 2 games against West Ham and Sheffield United. They were not amazing games. But you know what? We kept going and we kept doing our job. And as long as we keep doing our job and we keep going, that's all we can ask for. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you guys one thing. What do you rate this transfer window? What do you rate our business for this window? Because it's been an interesting window, and I want to know, what do you guys think? What do you guys rate this window that we just had? Because out of 10, if you guys could give this a rating, what would it be? Because in my opinion, I would have to give it a 7 because I feel like you've done some good business. You've brought in your first choice targets in Thomas Partey and Gabriel, but you've still missed out on the opportunity to sell some of the players that you don't need. We still have a massive squad. We were forced into loaning out Torreira and Matteo Guendouzi when we actually wanted to sell them. We were unable to acquire the incoming cash that we needed and the revenue that we needed to bring in the proper players, and hopefully we can do that going forward. But the likes of Chambers, the likes of Mustafi, the likes of Socrates are still at the club. You still got El Neni because he's going to be our 4th choice midfielder at this point. We haven't been able to loan out any of the young players that we were interested in loaning out yet. Maybe we can do that in the coming weeks, but I still want to see either Reece Nelson on loan, either Willock on loan, or Emil Smith-Rowe. One of those 3 need to go on loan, in my opinion, because they're not going to get enough game time at the Emirates. And finally, my full rating is going to be a 7. I feel like a 7 is an even rating. It's a passing grade, but at the same time, it's not something you're going to go to your mom and be like, hey, I got a 7. It's not great. So let's be honest, 70% out of 100 is not the best grade, in my opinion. You should be ecstatic if you get an 80, but 70, you're just whatever, right? But yeah, moving on. Let's talk about this. Do you think that we can get the top 4 with the team that we have now and the players that we have now in the squad? That is a question I throw to you guys. I throw this question to you guys because I want to know, what do you guys think will happen with this squad? Can this squad get top 4? Can Thomas Partey, Gabriel, Aubameyang, Leno, these kind of guys in the spine of your team be a team that gets us top 4? Or do you guys believe in Arteta so much that you think it doesn't matter, we're getting top 4 regardless, with or without these massive signings? Because hey, Thomas Partey is going to be a beast signing for us. He's going to be a crucial piece to the puzzle, and everyone's excited about it. But until guys like Nicolas Pepe start showing up, we're always going to have a little bit of an issue with our formations and how we're going to play. And I think this is the way we're going to play. I think we're going to play with a 4. I think we're going to play a 4-3-3 moving forward. I genuinely believe we're going to play a 4-3-3, and I think we're going to be able to change our ways because we have Thomas Partey now, we're going to be able to change the midfield and transform it. And no longer will we just have a double pivot of either Ceballos, Xhaka, Elneny, Xhaka, Ceballos, Elneny. Now we can play Elneny on the bench, Willock on the bench, and we'll have Xhaka and Ceballos rotating with Partey, and either bring Saka up front or anything like that. Because I think most likely Arteta is going to go back to that rotation. He's going to change it up. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys a screenshot. I mean, the screen. I'm going to screen share. If you guys can see that, what I think is going to happen, right? So I think most likely we're going to change to a back four. We're going to have Bellerin, right? Bellerin's going to play. Bellerin's going to play. Leno's going to be our goalkeeper, of course. Leno's always going to be our goalkeeper. It was never going to be anybody else. Then you're going to have, who are you going to have as the center backs? Interesting questions. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put Ceballos. I'm going to put Ceballos next to Partey, right? So I'm going to put Ceballos next to Partey. That's what my main thing, I think. I want Ceballos, Partey. I'm going to put Saka in the 10. Saka in the 10. I'm going to put Pepe on the right because I think this is a big year for Pepe. I think Pepe is going to do great things for us this year. I know he hasn't been amazing yet, but we still have a lot of time to see a lot from him, right? I think Aubameyang is going to play on that left all season. Generally believe he's going to play on that left-hand side all season. We're not going to see Aubameyang moving to the center spot, even though he did for Sheffield United. Most likely we're going to have Lacazette playing up top. That's just how I think we're going to play. Consistently, Arteta has shown that he's been able to change his formations throughout games. Depending on the matchup, depending on how we're performing throughout a game, he can make changes. But for now, as long as Lacazette's still at the club, I think he's going to play up top. Now, with the right side of the defense, I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is not going to play right back much. I think Bellerin has shown that he's almost back to his full fitness. And I think for now, I think we're going to play with David Luiz and we're going to play with Gabriel. Now, Gabriel being naturally left-footed, he works perfectly in a back four or a back three. And then Tierney can finally play his natural position. So I think this is what's going to be, with the missing spot being Partey and Leno, of course. And now you guys tell me what you guys think about this team and this formation, because I think this is how we should play, maybe against the smaller teams, against the teams where we don't have to worry about being as pragmatic against. We can play Saka in that 10 role, Aubameyang on the left, Pepe on the right, Lacazette up top, Dani Ceballos with a Thomas Partey. You have the industrial fortitude of Thomas Partey, and you have the passing ability of Dani Ceballos. And don't forget, they both are able to dribble out of the midfield, which we haven't had since Santi Cazorla. So we finally have ourselves a decent double pivot. So that is amazing. And we have ourselves a good defensive back four. Arteta and Arsenal have built from the back. They haven't focused on the attack too much after buying Nicolas Pepe. And I'm quite happy of our options coming up the bench, because now we've moved Xhaka to our second or third best midfielder. Dani Ceballos, you can argue, is also tied for second or third best. Ozil, I don't think we'll be getting back in this team ever. I think Ozil's finished at the club, and he's just never going to get to play. It's just sad to see and hear, but that's the honest truth. But yeah, you guys tell me what you guys think. You guys tell me what you guys are going to do. I think we're going to play Aubameyang up top only if we're chasing a game. I can hear you guys talking about Aubameyang playing as a left wing, but I think most likely he's never going to really play up top as long as we have this formation. For me, 8. We re-sign Aubameyang. Okay. So yeah, what do you guys rate this window? Give me your ratings for this window, because this guy right here, he said for me it's an 8 because we re-signed Aubameyang, Gabriel, Saka, Partey. Only thing is we missed out on creativity in the midfield. So at this time of COVID, we have done good business. You know what? That's decent. We got somebody here saying 7 out of 10. Get rid of Socrates Mustafi. If we managed to get Arwa, it would have and get rid of some defenders, I would have said 10 out of 10. Okay, now some of you guys are bringing in some good thoughts. I like this, right? We got somebody else here saying I would play Willian on the left, Pepe on the right, Aubameyang up top. You know what? That does sound interesting. Let's see how that would look, right? So that would look quite interesting. So you would change this to Willian, right? And you would put Pepe up top. Interesting. But what is the reasoning behind it? You think Aubameyang up top is more of a threat? What do you think? Because I think Aubameyang offers us the same thing that he offers us up top from the left, but Lacazette offers us more in the combination play. So this Aubameyang he will be drifting all over the place regardless. But if he's on the left, it makes more sense, I just think. But you think Willian on the left and Pepe on the right with Saka in the middle makes sense? You let me know. That's how you like it? Okay, that makes sense to me too. But yeah, hey, all in all, guys, this has been a decent window. We can't really complain too much. We've seen ourselves in these positions before, and we're able to pull off a good transfer. And I'm quite happy. I can't be upset, right? And let's just look at this right here. Thomas Partey, during his last season in the Champions League, his statistics were out of this world, right? Thomas Partey's statistics were really good last year, and these are the kind of stats this guy produces as a midfielder that we're going to be seeing at the club. Thomas Partey last year in the Champions League was first in tackles, he was first in touches, right? And then he was first in passes in the final third, and he was first open play chances created and third shot chances. What? Third in shot chances created. What? Wow. So for playing for Atletico Madrid last year, this guy in his team in the Champions League, he was killing it for them. So I think this guy is going to be the guy that gets us back to our best. This is one of the first steps that I've seen the club make, and you know what? This reminds me a lot about how we signed Mesut Ozil and when we signed Mesut Ozil. When we signed Mesut Ozil, there's a lot of similarities. We went and got one of the best midfielders out of Spain, brought them to the Premier League, and shocked the world. And you know what? This guy comes into the Premier League right now and immediately slots right into some of the top midfielders in the league. You got your Kevin De Bruyne's, you got your Bruno Fernandez's, you got your what else you got? You got your Conte's, all those other people, and you know what? He slots right in there, somewhere in the top 10. I'm not going to say he's number one, obviously, because we haven't seen him play in the Premier League yet, but I think he slots right into the top 10 of the Premier League, and you know what? He's a real guy, and I rate him highly, right? So if I could bring if you could bring in the left, who would you bring in? If you could bring in a left winger and let Aubameyang put a striker, who would you bring in? I would have brought in Said Benrahma. Said Benrahma playing at Brentford is an absolute baller, and that's the guy I would have targeted if I could have got a left winger to come in and Aubameyang to stay. The person I would have got was Said Benrahma. I rate Said Benrahma so highly. We can still actually get him in. The window's not closed, but Said Benrahma for me would have been the ideal guy that we would have targeted. I think he's better than a Wilfried Zaha. I think he's an absolute baller of a player, and I wish that we targeted him in the window instead of getting some of these other guys that some of the other wingers that we were looking at. He's a cheap option, and he's still a really young player. He's still only 25. He produced a lot of output last year in the championship. And I know it's just in the championship, but 17 goals and 9 assists as a left winger in a front three. I think he's an absolute stud, and I would have gotten Said Benrahma if I could have. But you know what? It's a story for another day, right? But that is who I would have got. Now, Arsenal are still after some players. This window is not officially closed, right? There's still a possibility we can get another player in. The question I have for you guys is, would you guys want Buendia? Would you guys want him? Would you guys be interested in him? Would you guys think he is a good enough player to play for the Arsenal? Because that is a question that you have to ask yourself when signing these players sometimes. It's all well and good that he can do good at Norwich, but would he do well at the Emirates? Will he do well in our system? We've seen him in the Premier League last year, and you know what? I'm just going to pull up his stats right now to show you guys how he performed. He was pretty good last year in the Premier League, and this is quite interesting. You got to ask yourself, would you be interested in this guy, and would you still look at him as an option, even if it's an option off the bench? Just let me know what you guys think, because he is a baller, and this is the guy that I think we might get as a shock. If we get one more deal over the line, this is the possible deal that we can get over the line. Get one or two at least, if not Husamarwa. Yeah, Luke agrees. He's a beast. Let Pepe play in the wing. Yeah, Pepe is going to play on the wing. What's good, Natish? How's it going? Partey after Partey. Partey after Partey. Yeah, that was funny. That was really funny. I enjoyed that. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say I know too much about Emi Buendia, to be honest. I only know much about him last year because I watched Norwich play a couple games because I had these guys in my fantasy team. And output-wise, 8 goals and 12 assists in 38 games. That is high production. Let's be honest. If you're going to talk outputs, that's good production. He put in work last year in the championship, right? In the Premier League, 1 goal, 7 assists, right? So not the same level. Obviously, it's a higher level of football, but he still put in work, and he showed that he can do it at the Premier League level. So you guys let me know what you guys think about Emi Buendia. I think the club might be interested in him. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to happen. Let's see if there's any news on it. There's no news. There's Buendia to Arsenal. You can type in Buendia to Arsenal to see when the last story was written. To Arsenal. No, there hasn't been anything recently. Yeah, so how Mikel Arteta can make with they haven't had a story on this for like a couple of weeks now, but they've been talking about this a while back, and I remember this was a story that kept coming up. So it was just thinking, since the window is running down, we could possibly still get him over the line. You never know. But yeah, that's just food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. I'm heading out. I just want to thank everybody for watching. Big up to you guys for watching. And if you haven't already subscribed, do me a favor, go subscribe to the channel, because you know what? I do this for you people, and I do this for the mandem. Anyone who wants to come chill and come on and just talk shit and talk about football sometimes, we can do that. And you know what? Subscribe to the channel if you're already here. If you watched until this point, big up to all 72 of you guys watching on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that. Love it. And you know what? We might be in the Europa League this year, but next year we're going to be in the Champions, hopefully. But yeah, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out. EGTV. Don't forget to watch more of my content. It's going to be coming locked and loaded every single day for as much as I can. And you know what? Respect to every single one of you guys watching. I'm out of here. Peace.